This should start to sound familiar. So get all x's on one side, everything else on the other. Then what would I do? I'd factor out an x. Or if it's an x squared or an x cubed or whatever you need to factor out in that problem. Factor out an x. Then what do you do? Well, solve for it by dividing. So divide and get x by itself. This should sound incredibly familiar. I'm looking at all the blank faces over here. Guys, you cannot memorize something for a test and then forget it. In math, it always comes back. Always. It's exactly like what types of problems you did. I mean, literally, you've written this down in your notes already. You have these exact same steps. I'm ready for a pop quiz, because you guys just don't give a crap about your own learning. Exactly these type of problems. Log on both sides. Then you power down. Then you get everything with an x on one side, everything without an x on the other side. Then you factor out an x. Then you divide. Exact same thing. Does that ring a bell now?
Yeah.
It should. You cannot forget things and move on. You have to take responsibility for your own learning at some point in your lives. You're not going to be there your entire life being, do your homework, study. You have to actually do it on your own. Okay? So first things first, let's replace that with y. And it says to cross multiply. So I have, do not make a stupid mistake of not distributing. I assume you can do this by now. When I multiply y, you can give it to both. Yes? I assume by this level you can distribute. Everything with an x on one side. Remember, try to keep things as positive as possible. If I took this over, I'd take that over and have nothing but negatives, right? If you can, you really want positives.
I'm to the x squared.
Yeah.
In the bottom.
Oh, was that on the bottom originally?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
see. But same thing. Were you listening to me as I was talking about the negatives? If I take this over, I don't want anything to be negative. So I'm going to take the x squared over, take that over. So I have 5 plus 10y equals x squared y minus x squared. You with me there? Add opposites, take it over the other side. Now what? Factor out an x squared, no problem. I'm left with y minus 1. Now I want to get x squared by itself, so divide. So I have 5 plus 10y. What's that? Theta. I can't write today. Now how do you get x by itself? Square root it. Now here's the thing. I'm not going to plus or minus the square root. Why?
You can't have negative in the square.
Well, negative would be on the outside. Because a square root looks like this, correct? Positive square root's graph looks like a hill. Negative square root's graph looks like reflected.
Yes.
If I have both of them,
It's not a function.
it's not a function. Yeah?
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, because if you have both, that's the positive and the reflection, which you know is not a function. So last but not least, let's interchange. F inverse square root of 5 plus 10x over x minus 1. Replace all your y's with x's. Voila! Are you awake today now?
What do we just do there? What's the difference between that and just the inverse?
The x is in the bottom. That's the difference. You can't